Oh, we're back here on Around Town, Haverhill, the Tap, and my favorite artist, Brian Evans. Good to talk to you again. And we're talking now a little bit about Haverhill. We're going back to the times when you grew up here and how you got to Las Vegas. How'd that work out?
The abridged version, because you're going to have to buy the book.
Okay.
I'm not sure if
So you have a biography coming up?
I'm working on it.
All right.
Shatner's going to write the forward of it.
All right.
I'm thinking of calling it What Now?
That's a good one.
I like that one better. I think so. I'm going to call it What Now? Because it's always something. And so now, though, I've been doing this. I have a new album I'm working on right now that Gary Anderson and Narada Michael Walden is producing. Every Whitney Houston song you ever heard of, he produced. I mean, he wrote How Will I Know. Knew You Were Waiting, he produced for George Michael and Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Santana, everybody knows.
You're still working with him. That's great.
Yeah, and he stuck by me. He produced at Fenway. That song,
right,
yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm working on I have a book, The Funny Robbers, that I worked on with Carrot Top and his manager, Dan O'Leary, that we're putting together, which will eventually be a movie. And the Horrorscope series, which I started with my mother. We worked on the first book. And then the second one I wrote, which was, it was okay. More of a bridge book. When you do a trilogy, you're like, it's always a mistake.
It's a practice.
I won't do that again because my agent's been like, we can't pitch a book until you finished it.
Right.
So you got to finish the third one, and with so much going on, I just hadn't gotten around to. And I mean, I'm 10 chapters into it, and I'll get to it. It's just you got that, you got the record, you got this TV series thing you're working on. The story is about a psychic who is forced by the mafia to provide predictions to them to keep their crimes from being foiled. They ultimately murder her, which causes a physical manifestation of the signs of the zodiac, who then seek revenge for her death.
That sounds great.
So that's what Horrorscope is. 2R, Horrorscope.
Right.
And so part 2 and then part 3, then a book called Funny Robbers, about 4 comedians who, while on tour, rob banks. And Carrot Top's going to be in it.
Very good.
And so it's going to be funny. But they're extorted to rob banks. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They're being, it's going to be very funny. Then I have a book called Savannah that came out. And, and then I'm just going to start working on my own. I remember growing up in Haverhill and, where we couldn't afford our rent on Fifth Avenue. So obviously my financial situation is very different than it was when I was a kid,
right?
Even 5 years ago. So everything changed in that way. And then while living in Hawaii, I decided I'm gonna. I had seen on. And anybody can Google this. This is not just in my head.
Okay.
You can Google it yourself.
Right.
That after what had happened to my mother, I started doing research and realized that the third leading cause of death in the United States is hospital medical errors. Johns Hopkins University did a study that 250,000 to 440,000 Americans a year die due to medical errors.
But significant.
Yes, so hospital lobbyists have been arguing with the Center for Disease Control not to be listed as one of the annual top 10 causes of death because they'd be number one. Gunshots, accidents combined, they would be the number one cause every year. So they've been battling that out, and so I decided to run for Congress. And in Hawaii, I didn't expect that I'd actually win the primary. I ran to bring attention to it because I knew it would give credibility to the cause, that people would pay attention.
Yeah.
And there were other people who ran against me, but they dropped out, and suddenly I was the only candidate left, so I was uncontested. And so it was funny to be watching.
Well, it worked out for you.
Yeah,
That's great.
and I'm like watching CNN, and it says, "Okay, we're breaking."
That's great.
And then AP did too.
Great.
Breaking news: we're ready to call an election. And there's like my face and my name.
Excellent.
It's like I was the only one running, and everyone backed out. So my opponent is Tulsi Gabbard. It's me against her, which is funny. It's hysterical, right? And so. But it was really a cause-related issue to bring attention. There's certain immunity protection that you get. No one would run for office if there wasn't, so that you can say things that you want to say without any legal ramifications once you're nominated. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was important to get that message out and about medical care. So I did what I had to do. To the proclamations, I felt like properly honored my mother, because that's in the history books. These are days named after the person, and like I said, half of them have her name in them, in states she never visited. So to have 39 governors do that, and I'll get the 11, and then I'll get one from the White House. I just won't get one with Trump.
Okay.
Anybody who talks about women like that, that name will not be next to my mother's legacy.
Right. Sure.
So whoever the next president is, that will be the one who does the proclamation on a federal level. And I used to work for Trump in Vegas at his hotel there. So so I met him. I liked the man who I met. He seemed like a nice guy, but everybody can be a nice guy for 5 minutes, and then they can do and be other things. So I'm more of an independent Republican because I have varying, opinions about many different things, and so I'm not typical in that way. But I also don't just go with the flow because there's a letter next to your name, whether it's D or R. I mean,
For sure. You're right.
So, and I think too many people just vote along party lines. And they're not actually looking at who they're voting for, and that's a problem. And then you get what you vote for, and then you go, well, I can't believe the life we have right now. So there's.
You're right.
I mean, there is one thing that I think that I do like the idea of talking to foreign leaders who are, let's face it, crazy. Because if you're talking to these crazy people, you're not killing people. And people aren't shooting war. I didn't expect to win the nomination, but
certainly if you do win, you'll come back on the show.
Of
even
course.
though you're a congressman from Hawaii,
well,
it'll be
the thing
interesting.
is